5 centuries. For 500 years, one word has been the skeleton key to the back rooms of history: Machiavellian. It is not a villain's creed. To call it evil is to misunderstand it completely. A child calling a scalpel mean because it cuts. It is a manual, a dispassionate study of power in its raw, organic state. It is the physics of ambition, the chemistry of control. Look at the world around you, the parliaments, the boardrooms, the social hierarchies you scramble within. You see the marble facades, the polished speeches, the brand logos. You are looking at the theater, the painted scenery. But behind that scenery, there is no brick, no wood. There is only cold, forged iron. And standing before that iron wall are the engineers, the minds that treat morality not as a compass, but as a variable in a calculation, a lever marked useful or not useful. You have felt it, haven't you? That nagging suspicion in the pit of your stomach when you watch the news. That sense during a corporate reshuffle or a political scandal that the story you're being told is just the surface of a much deeper, darker ocean. The feeling that the game is rigged. Congratulations, your intuition is correct. The game is rigged. Not by fate, not by gods, but by a specific category of human intelligence, a Machiavellian intelligence. And tonight, you will be given the blueprints, the 7 core architectural designs of the minds that built the labyrinth you've been running in. But before we begin, I have a question for you, a simple one. Think about it as we proceed. I want you to answer it in the comments before this video ends. Here is my question. Look at your own life, your job, your social circle, your family dynamics. Which one of these 7 archetypes do you recognize operating around you right now? Be specific. Name the archetype and describe the situation. This is your first practical exercise in seeing the gears. If you listen, if you truly understand what I am about to show you, a fundamental shift will occur. You will experience a cognitive rupture. A news headline will no longer be information, it will be a move on a board. A business deal will not be a transaction, it will be a power ritual. A conversation will not be an exchange of words, it will be a subtle dance of leverage and perception. You will see the gears. You will hear the click and groan of the machinery behind every human empire, every social climb, every silent coup. And in that moment of seeing, you face your only real choice. Will you remain raw material, ground down by those gears? Or will you learn the controls? Will you learn to turn them? This channel is Machiavellian Philosophy Wisdom. This is not about becoming a monster. It is about becoming an engineer. It is about trading the fragile glass of your innocence for the tempered steel of understanding. The candle is lit. The map is before you. The first blueprint is now revealed. Archetype 1, the lion and the fox, the unified beast. Machiavelli did not offer a choice. He commanded a synthesis. One must be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten the wolves. The modern Machiavellian is this chimera. This is the first and most fundamental archetype. The lion is not just strength, it is the theater of strength. It is the unbreakable gaze, the voice that leaves no room for question, the reputation for devastating retaliation. It is the public persona that absorbs all light and attention. But it is a performance. The true mind is the fox. The fox is the silent intelligence behind the eyes. It is the part that maps every room, catalogs every weakness, hears the unspoken word in every conversation. The fox never believes the lion's own roar. The people who run the world understand this duality at a cellular level. A political leader giving a fiery, lion-like speech to mobilize the masses is, in that same moment, the fox, calculating polling data and the loyalty of his inner circle. A CEO making a bold, aggressive acquisition, the lion, has already, as the fox, laid legal traps and exit strategies for years. The Machiavellian lesson here is profound. Never be only one thing. To be only the lion is to be led into a trap by a smarter fox. To be only the fox is to be torn apart by a stronger lion. The power is in the seamless shift. Let them fear your strength, but let them never grasp the depth of your cunning. Be the storm and the silent pressure change that foretells it. Archetype 2, the iceberg architect. You see only 10%. The 90% that gives it mass and destroys ships lies beneath the dark, cold water. Sentiment is heat, emotion is energy, and energy is a precious resource to be expended only on objectives, not on internal dramas. The minds that build empires have a psychological substructure of pure, disciplined ice. They are not without feeling. They have placed their feelings in a vault, to be retrieved only when useful. Love, a strategic alliance to consolidate power or bloodlines. Anger, a tool to be taken off the shelf to send a clear, unforgettable message. Empathy, a sensor array to understand what motivates others, the better to influence them. Their decisions are architectural plans, load-bearing walls of logic, corridors of cause and effect. They can demolish a wing of their life, a friendship, a marriage, a subsidiary, if the structural calculus demands it, and feel no more regret than an engineer feels for removing scaffolding. This emotional cryogenics is their supreme advantage. While others are swayed by heartache, euphoria, or spite, the iceberg architect's course is plotted by stars of pure reason. They watch human dramas unfold, not as participants, but as physicists watch particle collisions, interested in the laws they reveal. Your first step toward this is simple, brutal, and liberating. Begin to label your emotions as data points, not as commands. This is a feeling of betrayal. It indicates a broken agreement. What is the strategic value of this relationship now? That is the Machiavellian shift from heart to head, from reactor to architect. Archetype 3, the reality painter. There is no truth. There is only consensus reality. And consensus can be painted. This archetype understands that human perception is a primitive, flawed instrument. It sees what it expects to see. It hears what it wants to hear. The reality painter exploits this with the cold precision of a master propagandist. Their entire existence is a curated gallery of perceptions. Their reputation is their masterpiece. They will spend years carefully applying brushstrokes, an act of public charity here, the color of benevolence, a selectively leaked story of toughness there, the shade of fear, a crafted origin myth, the backdrop of destiny. They know that controlling the narrative is infinitely easier than controlling events. A military defeat becomes a strategic repositioning. A ruthless layoff becomes a streamlining for future growth. A blatant power grab becomes a reluctant acceptance of responsibility. They speak in symbols, in slogans, in resonant myths. They don't just do things, they frame them. The Machiavellian core of this is the divorce of action from narrative. The action is often hard, cold, and self-serving. The narrative is always soft, warm, and for the greater good. They are two separate operations. The puppet acts. The puppet master crafts the story the audience believes about the strings. To adopt this, you must stop worrying about what is and start obsessing over what is seen. How are your actions perceived? What story does your life tell? You are not a person. You are a protagonist in a story you must deliberately write and direct. Archetype 4, the debt manufacturer. What is stronger than love? Loyalty. What is stronger than loyalty? Indebtedness. The strategic altruist is a petty name for the debt manufacturer. This archetype operates on the ancient iron law of reciprocity, but weaponizes it. They give, but not freely. Every gift is a loan. Every favor is a bond. Every act of help is a signature on a contract written in invisible ink. Their generosity is a net cast wide and deep. They invest in people, not stocks. They solve problems to create dependencies. Why does a powerful patron sponsor a young artist? Not for art, for a future claim on that artist's fame and voice. Why does a corporation fund a community? For the social license to operate and the pool of grateful future employees. This is Machiavellian charity. It is never an end. It is always a means. It is capital placed to accrue compound interest in the form of obligation. The genius is that the debt is often felt as gratitude, not resentment. The recipient feels bound by honor, not by force. To integrate this, you must re-engineer your mind to see relationships as balance sheets, not in a cold way, but in a clear way. When you give, ask, what is the potential return? It could be loyalty, information, future assistance, or simply goodwill, a buffer for a future mistake. Stop giving randomly. Give strategically. Manufacture debt that can be called upon when the winds shift against you. Your network should be a web of mutual obligation, with you subtly at the center as the initial creditor. Archetype 5, the Chaos Smith. Order is a cage for the predictable mind. The Chaos Smith's forge is uncertainty, and their hammer is disorder. They do not fear instability, they are its master blacksmiths. Their strategy is rooted in a profound insight. In times of perfect stability, hierarchies solidify. The person at the top stays at the top. But in the white-hot chaos of a crisis, everything becomes malleable. Power can be seized, fortunes can be reversed, new leaders can rise. Therefore, if the environment is too stable, the Machiavellian chaos smith may introduce a controlled element of chaos, a vague rumor about a competitor, a sudden, unexpected change in policy, creating ambiguity about their own intentions or loyalties. This has a dual effect. First, it forces everyone else to react, putting them on the back foot, consuming their energy in confusion. Second, it creates a vacuum of leadership, and into that vacuum, the chaos smith steps, offering clarity, direction, and solutions they often engineered themselves. They are the arsonist who arrives first with a fire hose. Study history's greatest power shifts. They almost always occur after a war, a scandal, a market crash, a revolution, periods of immense chaos. The chaos smith either exploits these moments or, in their highest form, learns to create small ones on demand to keep their environment fluid and their position secure. Your takeaway? Do not cling to calm. Learn to be comfortable in disorder. Better yet, learn to read the currents of chaos so you can navigate them while others drown. Archetype 6, the temporal titan. You live in the frantic, buzzing present. The fly that lives a day cannot comprehend the mountain that stands for 1,000,000 years. The temporal titan operates on geological time. Their currency is not minutes, but years, decades, generations. This is the absolute nemesis of the impulsive, dopamine-driven modern mind. Their strategy is one of sublime, agonizing patience. They plant oaks, knowing they will never sit in the shade. They make moves whose purpose will not be revealed for 10 years. They can absorb insult, accept temporary defeat, and endure obscurity without a flicker of frustration, because their eyes are locked on a horizon invisible to others. This immense time horizon is their ultimate shield and weapon. It allows them to outlast rivals who burn out. It allows them to see cycles, economic, social, political, that others miss. They do not force opportunities. They prepare the ground so thoroughly that when the moment in history finally arrives, success is not a battle, but an inevitability. They are the chess player who sacrifices a queen, not for the next move, but for a checkmate 30 moves later that only they can see. To develop this, you must slaughter your need for quick validation. Set goals with timelines that frighten you. 5, 10, 20 years. Make decisions today based on where you want to be in that distant future, not on what feels good or resolves a conflict today. Become a slow, relentless force. A glacier cuts a valley not by speed, but by persistent, undeniable mass. Archetype 7. The pragmatic void. This is the foundational archetype, the source. Before you can be the lion or the fox, the architect or the painter, you must become this, the pragmatic void. This is the total, unflinching acceptance of the world as it is, stripped of all fantasy, morality tale, and wishful thinking. The Machiavellian void sees human nature clearly. It is self-interested, fearful, status-seeking, tribal, and capable of great kindness and great cruelty based on circumstance, not inherent virtue. They do not lament this, they observe it, as one observes the law of gravity. This realism is their bedrock. It means they are never surprised by betrayal. It is human nature. They are never disillusioned by greed. It is the default. They are never reliant on the goodness of men, a fatal strategic error. Instead, they build systems that work with this flawed nature. Contracts instead of promises, incentives instead of pleas, deterrence instead of trust. They fill their void not with opinions of how things should be, but with models of how things are and will be, based on immutable drivers. This allows for breathtakingly accurate prediction. When you understand the base code of human behavior, you can simulate outcomes. To cultivate the void, you must practice radical objectivity. Look at every situation, especially emotional ones, and ask, what are the actual power dynamics? What are the real incentives? What would a completely amoral observer conclude is happening? Strip away the should, embrace the is. This is the Machiavellian core. From this empty, clear space, all true power grows. The lesson is complete. 7 blueprints, not 7 different people, 7 integrated faculties of a single Machiavellian mind. The world runners are not one archetype. They are a synthesis of all 7 in varying degrees. They have the dual nature of the lion-fox, the emotional cryogenics of the iceberg architect, the narrative control of the reality painter, the calculated generosity of the debt manufacturer, the comfort in disorder of the chaos smith, the infinite patience of the temporal titan, all built upon the unshakable foundation of the pragmatic void. This is not knowledge for you to parade. This is not for you to go out and play the villain. That is a fool's game, the game of an immature mind that has misunderstood everything. This is knowledge for defense first, for recognition, so you are never again blindsided, never again manipulated, never again wondering why the world seems so unfair. It is unfair. It is a system. You now have the schematics. The path forward is one of disciplined study. Study history not as dates, but as case studies in these archetypes. Study your own life. When you feel emotional, you are facing an iceberg architect. When you are swept up in a story, you are being painted by a reality painter. When you feel grateful obligation, you are in the net of a debt manufacturer. This channel, Machiavellian Philosophy Wisdom, is your ongoing workshop. We will break down historical figures, current events, and psychological strategies through this lens. We will build the discipline to master your own mind, the perception to see these games in real time, and the strategic depth to navigate them. Your action is required. Power is not given to spectators. First, you will like this video. This is a signal, a small first commitment to seeing clearly. Second, you will subscribe. This is an alignment. You are choosing to continue your education in the mechanics of power. Third, you will turn on all notifications. You will not be late to the next lesson. The game does not stop. Your learning must not stop. The candle is lit. The board is set. You are no longer a piece being moved blindly. You are now a player learning the rules. The next move is yours. Observe, calculate, build. I will see you in the next video.